Good morning, everyone. My name is Tabibzadeh from Kerman, Iran, and currently living in Tehran. It is an honor to be among you, even virtually. Today, I want to share with you a very enlightening journey I had in learning what community and inclusiveness are all about. This journey started by attending this very same conference back in 2014, the time that these concepts didn't really mean anything in my country. And as you can see, I've kept this t-shirt, which I love very much. To give a very brief introduction about myself, I started my career in tech from design, then doing front-end development for years, but now I have shifted towards business side of technology. I've had the privilege to experience a lot by creating 3 tech-related ventures with my friends over the past decade. Currently, alongside my capable partners and colleagues, I run a little startup focused on digital transformation products in travel and most recently finance. The goals I want to achieve by this talk is to give a new point of view on community values from perspective that had not experienced it before. What valuable impacts and different profits the communities generate within themselves and on their outer ecosystem. And most important of all, the openness of technology-related communities that makes them far ahead of other sectors. I believe this makes us all appreciate these efforts more and encourage us to even do as little as we can for the communities that we are in. And one interesting point that if it wasn't for community, this presentation wouldn't be possible, as my good friends provided me with the camera, the microphone, and of course above all the support. I will approach this from 2 sides of the argument. First, how I learned about community building spirits for the first time in Berlin 4 years ago. Important lessons that JSConf family had taught me and how I witnessed and helped partially in developing communities in my country. Second, with 2 real-life examples, I want to proudly say that the synergism and volunteer work in tech-related communities should inspire other sectors to take community building more seriously in order to evolve to a more vibrant ecosystem. So, where this all started? I used to watch JSConf videos for educative purposes on YouTube, and once I said to myself, I wish we had something similar in our country. I visited their website and read online that they are open to let us do so. Then it struck me, maybe we should run a JSConf in Iran. Unfortunately, back then and still now, we do not have safe and easy access to international payment methods. And when telling the curator team about it, they surprised me by inviting me to the event. They're so loving, aren't they? Attending JSConf EU 2014 is where this journey began, where I learned how volunteer work benefits everyone in all important aspects of life and business. Because, believe me, if you're not familiar with it, this may look or sound a bit weird. Some words were really bold in the JSConf atmosphere, which I didn't quite understand. First was inclusiveness, and I was like, what does it mean? What is it? What is inclusiveness? I had only heard about exclusiveness in my country. It was as if everyone was trying so hard to get an exclusive privilege to get ahead. Even most prominent companies and products advertisements showed big exclusive words attached to them. So you can see my perspective. Other words that confused me were labor of love and not for profit. I was wondering why someone would run this huge event not for gaining direct profit, because honestly it was the other way around in my country. Jan and other curators told me a great deal about their experience creating and running this conference, explaining the spirits and principles of JSConf community and how they would use the sponsors' support to even upgrade the conference quality and all these matters. Meanwhile, I was experiencing the conference myself, meeting wonderful people, exchanging ideas, talking about collaboration opportunities and receiving valuable insights and offers from world-leading sponsors and many more fulfilling moments. It was starting to make sense. The pieces of the puzzle were coming together, and the last piece was this sentence. It is not just a conference, but a community. You should first build the community, then the conference would mean something. I still remember very vividly the friendly and productive talk I had with Christina when she was telling me about her experience in creating and running the upfront meetup community with her co-organizers and the JSConf, which, as you may have noticed, I also missed this year. So I came back very pumped with a crystal clear vision. I gathered a couple of people whom I thought would be interested, and they were in. Back then, the Iranian startup ecosystem was at its infancy, just starting to build one with baby steps. First Iranian startup accelerator was founded 6 months after my return. So back then we had to approach more traditional entities and venues. Unfortunately, we didn't find much luck and we got some empty promises that were never fulfilled. There were only one tech meetup back then, the LOG, as you might have heard, Linux user group, which were mostly hosted in software companies. I attended a LOG session right after coming back to Tehran for the first time. It was quite a lovely community. They had their own benefits and own challenges, but more importantly, a bit far from the web community. So apparently there were no room for the specific topic of JavaScript. We continued attracting support, explaining the vision and talking about the community which will have a comprehensive conference with all the JSConf spirits. We got somewhat interesting answers in return. They were like, not-for-profit conference? No beneficiary owner? What are you talking about? Are you insane? And sometimes even not any kind of answer at all. I was doing this out of sheer passion, but seeing these doors being shut in our faces made us realize that the timing is not right. Maybe we should try that later in the future. During this time, I was moving on from my second startup to figure out what to do next. And these incidents urged me to get back to business. The time passed. In 1.5 years, the Iranian startup ecosystem grew significantly. Suddenly, you would see number of VCs, accelerators, and community events were starting to pop out here and there. When I was so caught up building our new business, I was thrilled to hear that my friends were finally able to do that and created a community for Tehran called Tehran JS, this wonderful meetup by these 3 people that you see their pictures. Tehran JS meetup has been held averagely every 2 weeks since early 2016. It has now almost 1,000 members and new members joining every day. I was glad to see they had the right principles and a lot of good work was being done in this community, and you saw a few pictures of them. This is where the second side of the argument will begin to conclude. As we were new in tourism and pursuing niche markets that no one had entered before, we thought that maybe it's best if we created a community for the travel industry to make a positive impact. We wanted to apply the community building principles and create an inclusive platform for everyone to benefit from. So we started Tourism Up in August 2016. Here you can see a few pictures of our events. This event was held on a monthly basis, and over the 6 months we had the pleasure to host more than 300 participants in 2 chapters of Kerman and Tehran. Now I want to do an honest comparison between these 2 community building endeavors and sharing with you what happened to them and why. Tehran JS was thriving. It was fulfilling every aspect that the community promises. When I contacted my friends in the organizing team to talk about joining forces for running JSConf Iran together, they were open to any forms of collaboration. So this is very beautiful. This is where we talk about openness and inclusiveness. In the community side, it was exhilarating to see how people were submitting talks, took volunteer action in running the event, offering each other projects, and companies were finding talents to hire. Benefit for all. This is indeed where it is worth the effort to create a community. On the other hand, despite putting tremendous efforts and resources into this, we couldn't achieve the same thing in Tourism Up, where no technology mindset was involved. After running a few events, we had to try so hard to find the speakers. When creating task forces for joint community projects, people would volunteer, but unfortunately not deliver. We do not blame them at all. We have to accept these as facts, because despite Iran's potential in tourism, the industry is not yet advanced and it is suffering from traditional ways of doing business. People were so occupied with their daily hustle and so under the impression of exclusiveness in information and projects that were unable to see the benefits of community. We accepted this failure after 6 months, and we thought maybe it's best to temporarily shut it down so the industry can evolve and then we can come back. When no one could benefit from this community, it was no longer good to waste everyone's resources and time on this. As we went through a comparison between a success and a failure story, I think this is the only sentence we can get as the conclusion. Proactive participation by all is key, and technology is built by the very same spirit. That is why there is less burden in applying this in technology communities. No single entity can run a community. A community is formed by effort of the many. Last year, Whitney Williams said in her speech that leadership in communities are by the many, not by the few. So true, isn't it? I am proud to see that the JavaScript community is thriving in Iran by many people's contribution, and we are starting to find forward-thinking sponsors. We hope to hold the JSConf Iran conference in the next year with the help of its international family, and we strongly hope we can see you here in Tehran someday soon. To wrap this up, we all know that small actions create big impact. This might take time, so does every sustainable and long-lasting result. Our small actions and giving back to the society creates social capital, a meaningful concept that can help us in every aspect of our lives. I believe I am talking in a place that everyone knows and appreciates the values of this, but thought it's worth sharing this side of the story for more encouragement. These feedbacks, I believe, are what drives us to be active community players. We all have learned a lot and given back to the open source community, but I think there is more to OSS than open source software. Let's think of it as the open source spirit. This is why we should be proud of ourselves that we are community builders, not lobbyists. Thank you everyone, and I hope to reunite with you very soon, whether in Iran or at any other JSConf family of events.